Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm Rick Fussell and this is the Ingrain Workshop. In today's video, we're going to be building some DIY kitchen countertops for Red Maple Cabin, one of our cabins up in the Smoky Mountains. That's coming up next here at the Ingrain Workshop. So today we're tackling DIY kitchen countertops, and the material of choice is 3/4 inch MDF. Why? Because it's stable and almost perfectly flat, so no milling is needed. Let's call it the countertop equivalent of plug and play. To make sure these countertops are solid, I'll be doubling up with 2 layers of the 3/4 inch MDF. I'm starting with a countertop to the left of the stove. It's going to be 14 inches wide and 24.5 inches deep. Now, since MDF sheets come in 49-inch widths, I could just rip the sheet in half for the depth I needed. And by the way, I assumed MDF sheets were the standard 4 feet by 8 feet like plywood. But nope, they're oversized by an inch. I mean, who knew? Guess you learn something new every DIY day. With my 2 pieces cut to their final dimensions, it's time for the glue up. I'm using good old Titebond 2 and clamping the pieces together with some quick grip clamps. Once everything is aligned, I'll pre-drill and countersink so I can come back and drive in some 1 1/4 inch wood screws from the underside. After that, I'll clean up any glue squeezed out because nobody likes glue boogers on their countertops. Next, I'm bringing out my pocket hole drill station to drill some pocket holes along one side and the front edge of the countertop. These edges will be exposed, so I'll use 1 1/4 inch pocket hole screws to secure a 3/4 inch by 1 1/2 inch edge banding along these areas. This edge banding will be the same Rhodia pine that I used for the cabinet doors and drawers. Got to keep the theme consistent. Now that the pocket holes are drilled, it's time to install the edge banding. I've already made a 45-degree cut on both pieces over at the miter saw to get nice clean corners. I'm applying some glue to the front edge banding, and with the help of a bar clamp, I'll secure it in place, making sure it's about a 32nd of an inch proud on the top side of the countertop. I'll come back later and sand it down flush with the MDF. Got to keep things nice and smooth. Then I'll fasten the edge banding to the MDF using 1 1/4 inch pocket hole screws. Then I'll just repeat the same process for the side edge banding, easy peasy. With the edge banding installed, I'll grab my random orbital sander and load it up with 180 grit sandpaper. I'm going to sand the top of the MDF and the edge banding until everything is flush and flat, basically turning it into one smooth, seamless surface. Next, I'll move on to building the countertop for the right side of the stove. This one's going to be 13 inches wide and 24.5 inches deep. But before I can glue up the 2 pieces, I need to drill pocket holes along the side so I can join it to the sink side countertop. Then I'll drill some pocket holes along the front edge for securing the edge banding. Next, I'll glue up the 2 pieces just like I did with the previous countertop. Same process, same steps. So to spare you the repetition, I went ahead and constructed another countertop for the dishwasher area. This one is 26 inches wide by 24.5 inches deep. Since this countertop also needs to be joined to the sink countertop, I drilled pocket holes on that side as well as along the front edge for edge banding. Next up is the sink countertop, which measures a whopping 10 feet long by 24.5 inches deep. The construction process is the same as the other countertops, but this time I had to join two pieces together to cover the 10-foot span. To keep the countertop structurally sound, I made the bottom joint on the left side of the kitchen sink cabinet and the top joint on the right side. I secured the pieces together with 1¼ inch pocket screws, then constructed the rest of the countertop just like the others. So now I've made my joint here so it lines up with the cabinet below. I'm going to stagger the joint and put the next joint over here on this side of the kitchen sink, so the joints will be on each side of the kitchen sink to make the countertop more stable, because this is a 10-foot distance from one end to the other. So here they are, the left stove counter, the right stove counter, the sink counter, which is 10 feet long, and finally the dishwasher counter, all constructed and ready to go. But just when you thought we were done with countertops, nope. I still have to build a bar countertop that's 10 inches wide by 7 feet long, but no problem. It's going to be built just like the others, except this one will have edge banding all the way around. Lastly, I need to build a backsplash. I'll use 3/4 inch MDF for this, and it'll be 3 inches high. On top, I'll install 3/4 inch pine edge banding just like I did with the countertops to keep everything consistent. Now these are going to be Formica countertops. I ordered a roll of black Formica or plastic laminate that's 5 feet wide by 12 feet long. I'll leave a link in the video description below for where I got it. You've got to be careful when unrolling it. Take your time so it doesn't spring loose and risk getting damaged. I decided to cut out the laminate for the sink countertop first, since it's the longest continuous piece. This way, if I make a faux pas, I'll still have enough material for a second attempt. To prep for the cut, I applied painter's tape along the line where I wanted to cut. Now keep in mind, I'm not cutting it at the exact size yet, just making a rough cut that's at least 1 inch oversized. I'm using my DIY track saw track as a guide to score the laminate. I'm using a laminate knife, but pro tip here, any box cutter or blade will do the job. I'll score the laminate a couple of times and then gently bend it to break it along the scored line. The painter's tape should help prevent any chipping that might occur in the laminate. I'll repeat this process for all the countertops, including the bar countertop and then also the backsplashes. To adhere the laminate to the countertop, I'm using contact cement. Quick safety reminder, make sure you're in a well-ventilated area and wearing a respirator, not just a dust mask. Those fumes are toxic and flammable, so absolutely no flames. As the name suggests, you apply the contact cement to both surfaces you want to bond. When they touch, they're stuck together, no second chances. Apply the cement to both surfaces, wait about 20 minutes, and you'll see the cement dry clear, but it'll still be tacky. At this point, I like to add a second coat, wait another 20 minutes, and then attach the two surfaces. Now, I don't know if this happens to anyone else, but whenever I'm working on something time sensitive, my phone decides it's the perfect moment to blow up, and today was no different. Just as I started applying the cement, I got bombarded with alerts about Hurricane Milton, calls from my kids' schools about cancellations, and of course, a surprise visit from the supervisor. You know who I mean, to let me know about the very same things. And while she was at it, she also pointed out a spot I apparently missed with the contact cement, not realizing it dries clear. Gotta love the timing. Once the cement is dry, I like to use some scrap wood to keep the two surfaces separated so I can properly align them before bonding. Since I was working on the 10-foot countertop and the supervisor was already present, I enlisted her help to flip the laminate onto the countertop. Once everything is aligned, I start in the middle and work my way outward, pressing the surfaces together. After they're bonded, you'll need to take a J-roller, I'll leave a link in the video description, and apply around 25 pounds of force to ensure the bond is solid. Next, with a flush trim bit chalked up in the router, this has got the ball bearing right here at the bottom. This bearing is going to ride along the edge and trim the plastic laminate. And as far as which way to go, you want to go with your thumb in this direction. Now that the laminate edges are trimmed flush with the countertop, I'm going to chuck up a chamfer bit in my router and set the depth to 1/8 of an inch. I'll then cut a chamfer along just the edge banding side of the countertop for a nice clean finish. With all the laminate edges trimmed and the chamfers cut on the edge banding side of the countertops, it's time to finish the edge banding. I didn't chamfer the sink countertop since it still needs to be cut to size once I get up to the cabin. I'll start by taping off the laminate with painter's tape, then apply a wood sealer just like I did for the cabinets, followed by a coat of Minwax Special Walnut stain. Once the stain is dry, I'll apply 2 coats of oil-based polyurethane, sanding between coats with 4/0 steel wool for a smooth finish. So here's the finished product. In addition to the bar countertop and backsplashes, I also made some 1/4 inch kickboards and a few extra filler pieces that might come in handy during the installation process. You'll notice the edge on the sink countertop where I didn't cut the chamfer, as the final cut will happen once everything is in the cabin. During installation, I'll also cut biscuit slots where the adjoining countertops meet the sink countertop. These are just for alignment purposes only and don't add any structural value. I also crafted a valance piece to go over the window area. In a special moment for me, I got to use my late dad's branding iron on the drawers, which was a nice personal touch. Overall, this has been a really fun and exciting project, and I look forward to getting up to the cabin and installing these cabinets in the near future. Well, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you really enjoyed the video, and if you did, then please leave it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel and you like DIY and woodworking projects, then I highly recommend that you smash that subscribe button. It's free and painless, and I'd also ask that you ring that bell icon. That way you'll be notified of all our upcoming videos. To all my existing subscribers, I really appreciate all the support you've given this channel. Now I'll leave links in the video description below to where you can pick up all the tools and equipment that I used on this particular build. And as always, if you have any questions on how I did something, don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll answer them as soon as I can. Again, I'm Rick with the Ingrain Workshop. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and God bless.